Hey, hey fans, welcome to the Mike Dow Superfly Houston Texans Happy Hour Show. This is episode 2. We're still learning. This is still a work in progress. But tonight we come with what I believe is some really valuable content, which is what I'm here for, by the way. And the content is, as we get into this next season, we've all seen, or at least most of us have seen, if you're a true fan, the preseason game that just took place last night. That was probably the least exciting football game I've ever seen in my life. So let's not use that as a basis for what our assumptions are going to be going forward. Erase that from the mind. It doesn't matter. The NFL needs to cut the preseason either down to 0 or 2 games so we can just get on with the reality of what we're trying to do here, which is play 16 games to figure out who advances beyond that. So tonight, one of the things we're going to do as a part of the show is we're going to analyze a little bit about what I think are probably the 5 most important games of the season for the Texans. Now that's difficult to say at the start of the season because we don't know what that win-loss record is going to look like up until the end of the season, but if I'm right on these, we're actually going to have a pretty good idea. And you know what's good about these 5 games at the same time? They bring some drama, they bring some, whatever the right word is, some, I don't know, what it would be kind of like how you feel if you were dangling from a mountain by like a rope by one ankle. It's intense, it feels scary. That's where we're at right now in the season because we don't know what we really have yet. Mr. Osweiler looks a little suspect, but I think he's got more talent than what we've seen so far. So let's start this out, let's clean the slate, let's talk about the 5 most impactful games of what I think are going to be really interesting this season and also add to the drama and get you to the stadium or get you in front of the TV to watch this team. The first game that comes to mind is the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, my God, game 2 of the season. Who remembers sitting in the seats at Reliance Stadium, aka NRG now, sitting there and feeling very confident and then watching Niles Davis run 100 yards to start the game off at 7-0. This guy remembers that, and you know what? It didn't even make me that angry. I kind of laughed it off. If it was going to happen, let's let it happen in the first, what did he run that, 9 seconds? Is the guy an Olympian athlete or something like that? He'd have beaten Usain Bolt as fast as I saw him run from the end zone to that end zone. Crazy stuff. Anyhow, this game has drama. We're talking about a Kansas City Chiefs team who has come in and twice in one year kicked our butt, and then in the following year kicked our butt again. We're talking about a guy who single-handedly has lost all the Kansas City Chiefs Texans games by himself, Brian Hoyer, a guy that's no longer with us. If you go back and look at the stats, in the playoff game, he alone had 4 fumbles. I've got it reversed, 4 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Then, if you don't remember this, the game prior in the year, earlier, he had an interception and another fumble before he got yanked so we could put Ryan, a.k.a. I forgot to set my alarm clock mallet, in for the rest of the game, who then proceeded on AM radio later on that week to go, man, I don't know why I'm not the starter anymore, man. I was out there schooling them boys. So, thank God, good riddance to all those guys. But that game's got a lot of drama, and guess what? There are going to be a lot of Houston Texans fans that are pumped up to go into that stadium and kick the Chiefs in the mouth. Now, they're a nice team. They're all good-hearted because they're from the Midwest. You know what? All I want out of that game is someone to guard Travis Kelce so he doesn't rack up 200 and something yards against us. If we do that and we don't turn the ball over, game over, we win. I predict that score, Kansas City Chiefs versus the Texans at home, to be Texans 28, Chiefs 14. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm going to stay until told otherwise. Told otherwise by who? Nobody. Me. I'm the only one that can change my mind. Second game of the year. Second game of the year is Chiefs-Texans. The next game that we're going to talk about that I think has some nice drama associated to it is Patriots-Texans. There's a whole bunch of storylines behind this. Let's not even get into all of those. All I want to say about this game is, and the thing that resonates with me is we've got 2 quarterbacks who are still very young and really are unproven in the NFL. So it'll be a clash of unproven titans. Is that correct? I don't even know. All I'm saying is we got 2 quarterbacks coming in that for themselves I think have played in each maybe 10, 11 games. I don't even know the exact statistics. It doesn't matter. What I do know is that I appreciate the Patriots Stadium. It's nice. I appreciate their tailgating fans. I mean, they're out there cooking lobster and clams and crap like that. It's totally different than our tailgating experience, although similar because both of them are great. And I have great respect for the Patriots organization, even though I love to hate them. And that's just the reality of it. So where I'm going with this is I think Garoppolo has a terrible game. I think by the time the Texans get to the Patriots Stadium, they're going to have game planned Garoppolo out. I think this guy's going to have a terrible game. I think our defense is going to maul him. And to be honest with you, I'm going to be quite surprised if he even comes out of the game able to walk or not taken out by a cart. That's where I'm at on this. I think it's going to be a little bit of our defense totally dominating their offensive line, which really has holes in it like Swiss cheese. That for a nice cliche. And we're going to come out of there with a win. I do remember, you know, the other thing about everything I've said I like about the Patriots. Yeah, I love to hate them. One thing that I don't like, though, is their stupid song they play in about the third quarter. It makes you want to river dance up in the stands. You think you're having fun. It seems fun, but all you're really doing is gallivanting around with the rest of the Patriots fans. Don't do that, Houston Texans fans, if you're up there for the game. I will be, and I'm going to have a glare on my face when that song comes on. So, prediction, Texans 24, Patriots 10. Yeah, that's right, another W against another AFC team. And by the way, all 5 of these teams are AFC teams, because you know what? AFC is all that matters. That's what we need to win in order to advance and get to the ultimate goal that we have this year, which is to play a Super Bowl in our hometown. That being said, Game 3 of the year. Now this is one that everyone would predict as well. You might go through the schedule and say, maybe, maybe not, but it's got tons of storylines. It's the Broncos versus the Texans. Of course it's the Broncos versus the Texans. I mean, what is their field called anymore? Sports Authority Field? Those guys are going through bankruptcy. What are they going to call it? Some marijuana company wants to put their name up on the thing. I don't think that's going to happen because of the world we live in now these days. Give me a break. It's the United States of America. Do anything you want. If they want to pay you $600 million, John Elway, to put their name up there, you take that $600 million and you take it to the bank. Where I'm going with this is, who is going to play quarterback for the Denver Broncos? Is it Mark Dirty Sanchez? Is it this Simeon guy who kind of tiptoes around and runs around the field a little bit and kind of tosses the ball around? I don't think so. They don't have anybody. Is it Paxton Lynching from Tennessee? I don't think so. They don't have anybody to play quarterback. What they do have is they have a defense. That's why I think this game is going to come down to 2 battles. It's our defense against their defense. Unfortunately, because their offense is so terrible, we're going to be able to exploit them a little bit more than they're going to be able to exploit us. And all storylines aside, Gary Kubiak, hey, listen, what are we going to do? He won a Super Bowl. We don't have one of those yet. We pat that guy in the back and tell him good job. He's a nice guy. Nice guy and everything. Whatever. Anytime you hear anybody say something, oh, that dude's a nice guy, you know what? Ultimately, they don't really like that person very much. What I'm saying is, this is going to be a defensive battle. There is nothing sweeter than the repeater. We've had 2 wins already. This is going to be a 3rd. This is going to be another away game win. Now this one's going to be domination. You're gonna not like what I have to say here relative to score, but I'm going Texans 21 and I'm going Broncos 6. They have no offense that day. We have enough. We also score defensively, and their defense doesn't do much. That's where I'm at on the Texans and the Broncos. Mark my words. That is going to be a game that will be a turning point in the season for good or for bad. Game 4. Ooh, that's good. That's good. Game 4. You know, the AFC South, we get beat up a lot. You know what? This AFC South is actually starting to elevate itself a little bit. Now, we've all heard the stories about the Jaguars this year. I mean, my God, are they the frickin' darlings of the frickin' draft? Shad Khan, the owner, is like the richest Pakistani guy I know. I mean, dude's worth like $6.5 billion. He builds swimming pools in his stadium. I like that guy. He literally made his fortune making bumpers for cars. That's a good dude. His team still sucks. Now, furthermore, I think Mr. Blake Bortles is walking around with a little bit of air of, yeah, did you see what I did last year? Threw 35 touchdowns, all that kind of stuff. Hey, big deal, buddy. You were 5-11. I don't care about your 35 touchdowns. You throw 35 touchdowns and you're 11-5. Now we got something to talk about. So I think Blake Bortles has got himself up on a little bit of a pedestal at the moment with his so-called fancy receivers, who I really don't think have that much talent. Now, they don't suck. They paid one of the guys, whether it was Hearns or the other dude, about $35 million just recently. I think unwarranted. I think a little ahead of themselves. But you know what? You're Shad Khan. You got plenty of money, so go ahead and pay a few of these guys. But I do think this is becoming a grudge match in the AFC South. You see these two teams come together, and it's an exciting game every time, which I can appreciate. I like the smash mouth that gets played between these two teams. Both these teams come out a little bit beat up every portion of the season. So where I'm going with this is the Jaguars and the Texans, man, are going to play kind of a death match, if you will. It's going to be bionic. It's going to be some crazy stuff is going to happen, man. I'm looking forward to this game because this is going to be one of those games late in the season. I can't remember which week it is. It's late in the season, and it's going to be one of those grudge matches that's going to matter. But I'm going to go ahead and call something that has not been called in a long time. It's a 28-28 tie. Con! Final game of the season. Also has some drama to it. And you know what's great about this final game of the season? They do a lot of great things at the stadium. There's several storylines here that I want to cover. Bengals, Texans, Christmas Eve. Now, first of all, let's be honest. Last year, I was sitting on my butt on my fabulous couch inside the house, enjoying a nice cold Bud Light, maybe a vodka soda, which I have tonight because it's a little refreshing, and I've had too much beer to this point, so I can't even catch a buzz with beer, although I will have some soon. The thing is, Christmas Eve time is a time where we all feel good, and we're going to remember good memories back to when the Bengals and the Texans played. Now, the Bengals and the Texans played a grudge match and was the turning point of the season. And if you were like me, you were sitting on the edge of your seat during the fourth quarter just with a hopeful idea that we would come out of that game with a win. And there were a couple of guys that were key to that win, J.J. Watt being one of them. Good job, buddy. Well done. This guy called the Red Rifle like a Daisy BB gun shooter. I don't know where he came up with that. Sometimes he thinks he's funny. Yeah, he thinks he's funny. But where I'm going with this, at the end of the day, it's Christmas Eve. Everyone feels good, and this is going to be an important game because I have a feeling that this game is going to be for home field advantage. Basically, at the AFC North with the Bengals, the Ravens, and all those guys beating up on themselves, we take this game from the Bengals on Christmas Eve. We actually hold home field advantage in the playoffs, and we continue to make our run, which I think is going to be deep. Because to be honest with you, I think the second half of this year is when this team is going to come together and when this offense starts to run like a well-oiled chitty bang bang flying machine. So it's going to be really, really good to watch. The other thing about Christmas Eve, this may cut into my standard bowling that we do as a family on Christmas Eve. So I think what we'll do is we're going to go bowling in the morning on Sunday, get probably like a 3-game soiree out of the way, score like, I don't know, 650, maybe a 7, if I'm feeling good and my curve is working right. After that, we're going to go have a nice little brunch, and then, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to make our way to the stadium. We're going to watch a little game on Christmas Eve. It's also Hispanic Heritage Day at NRG Stadium. Fantastic. I love my fellow Hispanic fans, but I would like a white guy fan day. When's that happen? When do we get that? Does that never happen? Why can't we just, you know, why can't we put some cheerleader outfits on and kind of, hey, slap me a high five when I'm walking in the stadium. Give me like one of those free scratch-offs from the Texas Lotto. No, I never get shit. I'm just the white guy that goes to the games and supports the shit out of them. Where's my Heritage Day? I mean, do I need to go back to, where did I come from? Like Ireland, Wales, somewhere over there in that area? Maybe I do. Maybe I'll feel more welcome there. Maybe they will, you know, praise me as I walk down the street drinking my beer over there. Anyway, where I'm going with this is the Bengals don't really have any interesting storylines. Their players aren't exciting. Marvin Lewis isn't exciting. As a matter of fact, when I look at him, he depresses me. He's always got some sort of scowl on his face. I don't even like it. Why does everyone think they're such a good team? You know what? They're in Cincinnati. It sucks. No, the city's not so bad. It is actually pretty cool, but it's Rusty Beltish. I don't like it. I don't like the Bengals. And as a matter of fact, I think we're going to come out of there with a big time win. total annihilation. 42 Texans, Bengals 14. I just, that's how I feel about it. I'm so tired of the Bengals. And we have their number. We've always had their number. We're going to continue to have it this year. You know, friends, all I have to say is those are 5 games. If my predictions are correct, aside from the tie, that might be a stretch. We'll see how that one goes. But if we take these 5 games this year, that will launch us into the position that we want to be in for the playoffs to get into a deep run. So with that, and with Hispanic Heritage Day, I salute you and would like to welcome you back to the next installment of the Mike Dow Superfly Houston Texans Happy Hour. Everybody, have a good night.